Community Media.
Today our first Community Media Cafe was hosted at the Chapel Cafe in Bishop Street. And while we were there, we spoke to a couple of people, including John's mum, and a bloke called Andy. And this is what he had to say.
Which I shall probably all forget straight away, but never mind, there you go. John has just said to me, right, go on, go and unleash yourself on these guys. Quick bit of background, although you'd never know it, I'm coming up to being 65 in a couple of months, but I know it doesn't show. I keep telling myself that, it works. I worked for British Telecom, for BT, for 38 years. 20 plus years of those was in the sales and service front line. Okay, so I was dealing with people, dealing with customers. And there were people out there that were very friendly. There were people out there that were okay. And there were people out there that were downright rude. There was one particular instance when I was working at a mobile exhibition, and we've got all of these displays and all of these things up all around, and a customer comes up to me and he says, "I've noticed a mistake on your stand." So I went, "Oh, all right, okay, thank you very much. What's the error?" Now, what had actually happened was one of the printers had actually printed the photograph of this one particular item back to front, so it was reversed. So the writing was reversed. Okay, mate, right, well, thank you very much, well done, appreciate that, we'll get that fixed for the next time. Okay, these things happen. But this chap, he would not let it go. He went, "That's not good enough. I want to know what you're going to do about it now." Now, you guys won't remember this, I'm sure, but many years ago, British Telecom had a marketing campaign where they used a character called Busby. And as part of that campaign, we had badges with, Busby badges and all of this sort of thing. They were giveaways for the kids. So when this chap turned around and he says, "That's not good enough. I want something done. What are you going to do now?" I thought, you're trying to get me annoyed. I know what I'm going to do. Right. Reached into my pocket and said, "Congratulations, sir. You won our star prize. Have a Busby badge." And his wife was standing nearby, and she burst out laughing, and she said to her husband, "There you go. That's put you in your place. Now leave the poor man alone and let him get on with his job." And this chap shook my hand and he went, "Go on, you'll do, boy. Well done." But the point of it was communication. It was to do with recognising that it was just having a bit of a wind-up, having a bit of fun, But it's defusing it. It's getting it so that whatever career you go into, whatever job you do, you're always going to come across people that are like that. They are going to annoy you. It's just going to be, that's going to be the way of things.
I used to work at a hotel back in Telford, and this hotel for me was always, if I was to go there, it would be a place of occasions, like you go there for birthdays. It was always seen as a bit like markets. And I ended up working there, which was funny because I consider myself quite common, and all the people there are worth a few quid. And every time, you've just got to sort of play up to them and just sort of, because if not, you were just going to get absolutely roasted by some guy who's got a Rolls Royce outside him. He's got one too many sugars in his tea or something like that, and had to deal with a lot of people like that. You sort of grow up quick as well because you just got to understand that there's a lot of different people out there, and just different ways to take them. And get this one guy that would come in, and everyone would be scared to serve him. But you just, like I said, you just got to play up to him and just put on a bit of a show for him, I suppose, and just sort of play up to him, and then just he'll be eating at you. And then
That's what you have to do.
More often than not, he tipped me, but he wouldn't tip anyone else. So for that, I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
I was talking to your colleague over there with the lass there whose name is Ineke, and Ineke is half Dutch. And with Ineke, one has to be aware of the fact that because she's been taught English and also Dutch, she also knows a bit about German as well. The words that I use might have a slightly different meaning. Okay. Now, I've got a fun one for you. I have Welsh heritage, although I don't speak Welsh. I know a few words. Many years ago, when I was married, went to Portugal for a holiday. And the street urchins would come up to you, and they saw that you were white. They didn't know, or whatever colour you happened to be, they didn't know what country you were from. So they had learned the basics of saying hello and how are you in all sorts of different languages.
Sounds interesting.
So, of course, my ex said, can't we get rid of these kids? So I went, yeah, don't worry. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to talk to them. So I turned round to them and I said, Gay Eistetamara Squelakanda. And they went,
Never learned that one.
don't know that one. So they ran away.
You want to do the research, right?
So of course, my ex then said to me, what did you just say to them? I said, well, in actual fact, that was Welsh. Yes. And I said, in actual fact, the way that it's supposed to be pronounced is Borada, Gay Eistetamar, which basically means, excuse me, do you mind if I sit down here, please?
I said with a bit more.
But it doesn't. But it's how you say it. And again, it comes down to communication. It's not just what you say; it's how you say it. It's how you communicate it. It's how you get it across to people. I was saying over there as well that my dear old dad, bless him, long gone now. He was a school teacher, deputy headmaster of an infant junior school. And he taught me that there are no bad students, there are only bad teachers. So if you don't get what's being said to you, you don't understand what's being taught to you, it's not your fault. It's the teacher that has to try and get it over to you in a different way. And that works. And most good teachers will do that. They will recognise the fact that you're not getting it. But equally, I would say to you, and you're probably way past this now anyway, if you don't understand what's being said to you, then you have to, you must say, excuse me, don't quite get that. Because chances are, if you don't, there's going to be other people around you that won't either, you know. And you get into a better depth of understanding as to exactly what's being said, you know. Now, your communication, what sort of things do you cover? Tell me about what your course covers.
Different ways to get that across, if you like. So podcasting, we'll record conversations or film them, video them, or whatever. It's just the way that which we get the communication to other people, whilst also communicating. You know what I mean? So we'll do a podcast, and we're recording us communicating now.
different artwork.
in different artwork. But then at the same time, we could also record that with a video, and it would just be the same conversation, just with visuals as well. So
It's just like the same conversation happening in multiple ways, because you could have that same conversation in a group chat on WhatsApp,
exactly,
like webcam call.
it's just different ways to
There's so many ways to
deliver.
communicate.
So it's just different ways to deliver those sort of mediums, if you like. That's sort of what we learn about.
Okay.
How to cover that. So
Because what is surprising to some, and I found it quite useful, is that I use an iPhone. When I had a heart attack in 2010, I thought, okay, righto, fair enough. But then I'm epileptic. I have a muscular weakness down the one side. That hand, fine. That one. If I have to try and pick something up with that hand, fine, no problem at all. Do that. This hand, as I was saying to your colleague over there, so you'll get this repeated. If I want to pick that up, I can do it, but I can't talk at the same time because it takes me that extra little bit of brain power to do it. But to look at me, apart from the fact that that eye wanders, especially when I'm tired, even more, you'd never know that that's how I was. So communication is also about communicating yourself and who you are and about yourself, so that people can recognise that we're all the same and yet we're all different. You know? And I find it absolutely fascinating. So what I did was, my last epileptic fit was a few years ago. I don't drive anymore, I'm not allowed to, for medical reasons. But what I now do is I now have got a daily diary, a journal that I use called Day One. And on that, I record basically what's happened for the day, so I can therefore look back, and it's been quite useful because people have said to me, "Oh, when was so and so? Oh, yeah, hang on a minute, quick search through. Yeah, that was on such and such a date. Are you sure? Yes, I know because I put it in my diary. But I've also, because of my medical condition, I've got a health history as well. So people can say to me, when did you last, when was this, when was that? And I can tell you exactly. They're on the iPhone now, they've even got various health apps. And I've got one that actually records my walking step count. So I've got a step count. So I can make sure that I keep walking, because when I had my heart attack, my consultant and the doctor and everybody said to me, you must keep exercising, you've got to keep walking, you've got to. So about 3 months afterwards I wander into the hospital for a checkup, and I just walked in and this chap said to me, he says, "Oh," he said, "it's so good to see you're actually doing what we've been telling you to do." Well, I haven't said a word yet. How can you possibly know? He said, the way that you're walking, the way that you're going in, the way you... He said, we can see that you're listening to us, you're doing what we asked you to do. All right. He said, and he said, for every one person that listens, there's a dozen that don't, but it makes a difference to us. So I'm actually helping them by doing what they're telling me to do. But to me, it's great. All right, okay, I don't get around quite so easily now, and I can have a laugh and a joke with people, and I can say, yeah, well, of course, you know, you remember all those years ago when I was a young lad, we didn't have computers in my day, you know, we didn't, you know. I have a bit of a laugh and a joke with people about that. It's great fun. But I don't care, because people have said to me, oh, but oh, you almost like, you poor chap, you've had a heart attack, you're epileptic, you don't get around. So what? I'm alive. I'm talking to people. I'm talking reasonably coherently, I think. Had a bit of a nasty turn last year, and the consultant went, "What tablets are you on?" "How long have you been on those?" "We've got better medication for you than that." Okay, fine, fair enough. They put me on better medication. I'm happier. I'm better. But things change. What I therefore now try and do is I try and come along to these sort of events, because I've known John Costa for quite a few years now, and I try and show that communication is important. It's very, very important, in my view, to actually also keep up to date with what's going on in the world, with your ideas, your thoughts, because you guys come up with some brilliant ideas, which is great. But equally, and I've had this when I was at BT, it was a case of you get some people coming in going, "Oh yeah, great, we'll do this." We did that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It didn't work then. It won't work now. "Oh, it's all different now. We've got..." Okay, all right. So on one occasion, we actually did. We had a word with the manager, and we said, "Look, this guy reckons that that's going to work. We know it won't. We need to prove it to him. So we will do what he says." And we did. And it didn't work. We didn't do anything to not make it work. We did exactly what he said. And he went, "Oh, didn't work." I said, "No, it didn't work. Didn't work this time. It didn't work last time. But don't stop trying."
Yeah, it might just be one little thing that needs.
There might be that one little thing that you go, "Okay, all right, fair enough, okay." I mentioned to your colleague over there that when I first started, I won't use the silly voice again, I've done that one. My very first computer was a Sinclair ZX81 in 1981, probably before you guys were born.
Well, what is it called?
Sinclair ZX81, made by Sir Clive Sinclair, and it came out in 1981, and it had 1K of RAM. And people have said to me, no, Andy, no, it would have been 1 meg. No, trust me, I know it was 1K, and you could then buy a plug-in RAM pack to go on the back, which was 16. Yes, that's it.
Looked like a microwave.
That was it. And you plugged it into your television. And to upload and download programs, you used a cassette recorder to actually store and retrieve the data.
How would that work?
Well, it was sound. It literally recorded the data as a sound file. Very clever, and it worked. But then gradually, in actual fact, the company was taken over by it was taken over by it'll come to me in a minute, I'll remember, but by somebody else, and the guy that runs Virgin.
Right, yeah.
And they eventually brought out a Sinclair 128 and with 128k, and it had a floppy disk drive. Things moved on.
Yeah.
And eventually in 1993 excuse me, I got my very first PC. My brother bought one, and we upgraded that from a 2 meg RAM to a 4 meg RAM, and that ran Windows 3.1. Great fun. This price, wonderful.